We'll start page Chet, and then if we'll have time, we'll go back to the Akdama. This is the Maharal in Netzach Yisrael. He's coming to explain, in the Akdama he explained that he's going to write a sefer on the Geula, and the Geula that will happen. But now he's explaining, well, before I start speaking about the Geula, I have to first explain what Golus is. And then half of the sefer, or almost half of the sefer, will be on Golus. Program-wise, it's till Perek Kaf Hey will be on Golus. From Perek Kaf Hey to Perek Samach Gimel will be about the Geula. But the program till Perek Kaf Hey are much longer. It comes out that more than 50% of the sefer is on Golus. And here needs an explanation. If you want to write a sefer on Geula, why are you dedicating more than half of it to Golus? Because Netzach Yisrael is about Geula.
Appreciate Geula more.
So that's what he's going to say. We're on page Ches. We're starting on page Chet. It's the beginning of Perek Aleph in Sefer Netzach Yisrael. Kasher hadavar hatov noda me'afacho yediah amitit. Meaning, something good, you know about it well, if you know the opposite. V'chen kol hadvarim nikna yediah bahem min hahefech. You acquire the knowledge from its opposite. Ki min mareh hashachor yichol hadat mareh halavan. From the vision of black, you can know the vision of white. Shu hafacho. V'chen kol hafachim. Min ha'echad nikna yediah bahefech shelo. Okay? You find umuskamu, meaning also amongst non-Jews. Yedias ha'afachim hu echad. So if you really want to understand a phenomenon, you got to look at its opposite. Then you'll really understand it. For example, white and black he gives here. And he says this lashon in here, give a look at both side, and in footnote 1. L'shano be'ber gola be'achamishi. Ki argashat ha'afachim echad, u'mi shemargish b'chom, margish b'kor. ובחידוש אצלם בדזורה מצד כי ידיעת הפכים אחד וכאשר הם מעידים בעצמם אומוס העולם when the Ummos testify in themselves שהם בעלי עבודזרה וידוע כי האומות הם הפכים לישראל אם כן בזה מעידים על ישראל כי הם צדיקים. It's a big Yisrael. Rabbi, so what's the understanding of it? If you really want to know black, you got to know white. If you want to know tall, you got to know short. If you want to know cold, you got to know hot. Well, what does it really mean? I'm sorry?
You have no yardstick.
Meaning, okay. Well, I can't understand black without saying white?
You can, but you can't understand
You can't understand how black it is.
how black and how white.
Okay, it could be.
Yeah. Is that true the Ma'achazar about
I'm sorry, what?
The Torah was Levana.
Esh Levana Gebesh Chora.
Is that something to do with it? Or
No, over there it's the opposites.
okay.
Maybe to a certain degree. He says it's the chesed and the din. Maybe. Because but black and white are opposites.
There are certain things that are, I don't know how to say this, but there are certain things that are relative to other things, like tall or big.
Yeah.
And then there are certain things that are their own things, like black and white. Black is not a relative word. So it's not it can't be a yardstick to understand.
Meaning it's not relative. So, Rabbi, so therefore, in light of what Michal is saying, I think what the Michal is saying is the following, Rabbi say. Everything in the world appears in two Masechtas. Masechet Yesh and Masechet En. I'll give you an example. If you want to evaluate the Ashpa of Magid Shira Rosh Hashiva in his shir, in his yeshiva. So there's two ways always to measure. One is when he's there, how active he is, how involved is he is, how many shurim is he giving. But also a very important yardstick is, and when he's not there, how much has he missed? That also is a reflection of his capacity. And everything in the world appears in those two places. When it's existing, you see it, and then when it's lacking, how much is it lacking? I can tell you that once I used to be a tutor for a few years in the yeshiva, Machon Shlomo for Bali Tshuva, a very good place, and there was Shiva Zatzal, was Rabbi Yaakov Rosenberg, and when he was there, you didn't notice so much what he's doing. He gave shiur and whatever, but what always was fascinating, the moment that he left to go do fundraising in America, all the problems surfaced. Suddenly everything went wrong. And then you understood, I guess when he was here, he played a very important role. You didn't notice it so much when he was there, but when he left, everything went wrong. And it happened once, twice, and then it knows. I guess it was him. So like just like when one sugya appears a few times in Shas, if you want to get the real Havana of the sugya, you have to look it up at all its places. Today you have the Likutei Rashi that bring you the Rashis elsewhere. Meaning, if you want to get the full picture, you got to look up at the full manifestation of this concept. And if it appears in 5 places in Shas, look up all 5. Similarly, if you want to understand a phenomenon, you want to understand something, the way to understand it is when it's there and when it's not there. That's also a very good yardstick to figure out what it is. That's hafachim. Hafachim means black and white. You know what it really means? Also, black is the strongest color, and white there's no color. That's the Rambam explains it. So that will show you the extremes of. Therefore, Am Yisrael and Ovdei Kochamim, since they're opposites. So the way to understand the full phenomenon of Am Yisrael is to say what happens when they're not here. When you're not a Yid, how does it look like? And that's a guy. So therefore, to get the full picture of anything in the world, it appears in 2 Masechtas, Masechet Yesh and Masechet En, and therefore you have to look at both. Yedias ha'afachim achas, right? Tell me, right? Okay, good. Let's say, for example, over here, Me'enze. I speak to the boys of Hasbania before they go to Poland, and the young boys are in year 12. And I say that I use this moral to bring out the following point. Of course, when you see what happened in the Shoah, it's not shach to happen. It's way beyond our comprehension, even after it happened. Before it happened, but even after. But everybody agrees that the Yimach Shmoinikims, I don't want to mention the name next to Aaron Kodesh, were the lowest level of morality of the human race. In any country in the world, if you call someone that N-A-Z-I, it's a derogatory statement. There are some shugai in that, yeah. But if they want to say you are Russia, they'll say that. Most universe agrees to that. If there's an expression, tell me who your friends are, and I'll tell you who you are, by the same logic of Yedias Ha'afachim Achas, tell me who your enemies are, and I'll tell you who you are. And since the arch enemy of those people were Am Yisrael, and they were the lowest level that mankind reached, Kula Alma Moidu, I'm not saying it only because I'm Jewish, I'm saying it because everyone agrees. So I take it as a badge of honor if the worst of the worst saw Am Yisrael as their arch enemy. I'm very happy about that. I think it's a covet. And the logic is, if tell me who your friends are, and I'll tell you are, meaning who you connect to, that shows who you are, I could also figure out who you are by those who are totally the opposite, that there's no connection. That also shows something. That also shows who you are. And the lowest of the lowest, their biggest enemy in the world was Am Yisrael. So that means the biggest enemy is good. And that's us. Right? But it's using the Yisod of Yedias Ha'afachim Achas. If tell me who your friends are, it shows a Yisod. Tell me who are your outstanding enemy, and I'll show you. That also shows who you are. Where there's absolutely no kesher. Okay. Now the Rambam makes it zushtel. Kedarkoi. ובשביל אמרו בערבי פסוחים, בהגודה, מתחיל בגנוס ומסיים בשבח. ולמה מתחיל בגנוס? Let us say that you're coming to commemorate the redemption of Egypt. So why are you starting with the gnus? Go straight to the shvach. Rather, מפני שאין לה שבח הכרה אמיתית, רק מן ההפך. Meaning, Rabbi say, it's easy to fall in the trap to say here that the moral means you'll appreciate more the shvach if you see the gnus. It's like it's a psychological thing. He's not saying that. Anyway, Rabbi Shapiro once told me that the Torah is clean or clear from psychology. That's what he said. Remember, he represents a little bit the old school. There's nothing in psychology in Torah. to say that there's a mitzvah of Torah, something in Torah based on psychologia, and kazaval. I was telling him I want to introduce the Rav to a choshev psychologist. So he told me a choshev psychologist is an oxymoron. Yeah, that's it. What?
Probably said Tata.
He said Dova v'hipuchoi. That's what he said. Okay, but again, he comes from the school. I don't know. I'm not saying. Maybe today he would have changed his mind a little bit more. No idea. But it's not that you're not going to because Messiah B'Shvach. It's not that you'll appreciate the Shvach if you start from the Gnus. Like psychologically, you'll see how bad it was. Now you'll really be happy. It's more the Havon of it. If you really want to understand what the Gula is about from Mitzrayim, start from the Golos of Mitzrayim, because these are two expressions of the same phenomenon. It's a little bit of the Kiddush of Tisha B'Av, B'tzeisim in Mitzrayim, B'tzeisim in Yerushalayim. That's like a Tisha B'Av and Leil Seder fall on the same night to a certain degree. There's no two big opposites. Because opposites shed a light on each other. The Havana, not just a psychological trick. Then he says, Ulekach, we're now on the left column, Ein lefarish inyan ha'geula achroina. I cannot explain to you the last redemption, meaning Mashiach. Im lo shenemer inyan ha'golos v'achurban. If you don't explain, right? If I don't explain to you first, the golos. Well, person, give a look at footnote 7, and you'll see. The second paragraph in footnote 7. Look what he said. What do you say about this before we go on? All those who are big Ovdei of the Zohar and Sefer Bereshis, it never says explicitly they were Ovdei of the Zohar. Nimrod hu cheliot gibel ba'aretz. Enosh, like all over the Zohar start with them, the Rambam starts Silchos Avodah Zarah with the words B'imei Enosh. So Azucha likro b'Shem Hashem. It's a very edele. The Torah never says clearly in Sefer Bereshis this guy was Oived of the Zohar. Lavan had his trophy. Why not? So look what it says there in footnote 7, the second part. V'chem b'yer b'goyim b'shis b'ergyud. שעד למתן תורה הייתה עבודת זרה בגדר דבר מטושטש ולא ברור. כי לא נודע עבודת השם יסבוך לכל. ורק לאחר מתן תורה שנודע לנו מהי עבודת יסבוך, בכך נדע ונגלה עומק תאוסו של עבודת זרה. As long as the Torah wasn't given, Avodah Zarah wasn't 100% clear. There was probably some good elements in it. There was no clear Havana, what's the right derech. So Mamela, you couldn't have a clear Havana, what's the wrong derech. It could be it was a shotness and all kinds of things. But once Torah was given, and once there's a clarity, this is how you oived Hashem, now I can define, and this is Avodah Zarah. But up to Matan Torah, Avodah Zarah wasn't pointed out in a clear way because it wasn't clear. Why wasn't it clear? Because Matan Torah, the right way wasn't clear, so the wrong way is also not clear. It was all fuzzy. So these are Kavalka insights, per se. I was by his kever yesterday morning. It was, what?
There was no halucha of him achim aponai. Before Matan Torah, there was no halucha of him achim aponai.
No, it's up. It is Sheva Mitzvah Nerach. One of the Sheva Mitzvah Nerach is not the worship of the Zohar. It was, but there wasn't a real Havana in it. It was. It was given to Adam Rishon. It was given to Nerach. Right? But the real Havana, what's so treif about Avodah Zarah? You only understood once I got clarity what's the right way to do it. These are things, one sheds on the other. Right. Ein Adam oimed al divrei Torah ken nichshel bein. The Gemara in Gittin. Right? Only when you got it wrong, you know how to get it right. Okay. So says the Maral, let's go on. Back again to after number 7 in the Maral. Shebezeh, if I'm going to teach you what Golus and Churban is, once you understand how terrible the Churban is and the Golus is, then you'll understand what we're anticipating and waiting for. וכאשר אנו באים לבאר עניין הגולוס ידיע אמיתיס, צריך לבאר קודם הסיבה לגולוס. Once you go into it, you got to go to the cause of it. והדברים השייכים אל הגולוס. Okay. Rabbi, I'll give you an example. Let's face it, us. I can speak about myself. Why is it such a challenge to connect to the Churban Beis HaMikdash? Because I don't know if we feel how terrible it is when we don't have a Beis HaMikdash. It seems life's pretty good.
We don't know.
What?
We don't know what it's like with it.
Both. We can read what the Ovis wrote. We can read Machon. But like, do we feel miserable that we don't have a Beis Hamikdash? That's one of the reasons. And I leave it to says, Shalom Arav Kaduri. מה שלמה? הרב כדור שלי, כדור שלו, הרב כדורו, כדורנו, כדורכם. נכון? סיכמנו את זה כבר.
Not good night to talk about that.
What?
Not a good night to talk about Kadur.
You're right. לא, אבל הרב, זה לא כדורגל. כדור אחר. But the point being is, that's one of the reasons. Well, listen, life's pretty good. Now there's anti-Semitism in England. Okay, so it's not so good schmuck maybe like it used to be. But it's not good. It's we have nice homes, nice life, food, shelter, aircon if it gets hot, or at least the shul has one, and like, what am I lacking so much? I understand it'll be much better when the beer by something does. Yuda, Taitano Yuda. Kama shama. But that's one of the reasons. What's so? I mean, I understand when there'll be Shechina, there'll be Beis Hamikdash, there'll be Nevuah, it's going to be better. But מה כל כך חסר לי עכשיו? That's like one of the ways to connect the Tishma is to really work on that. To understand why what we have is miserable. What's so miserable? It's like Nebuch, a kid that was born after the father was nifter. The mother was pregnant. He doesn't know what he's messing with. It's kind of hard to explain to him. Yeah. Okay. Think about it. Like, are we suffering today that we don't have Beis Hamikdash? And the answer is absolutely. In what way? Yeah. In what way? I don't know. It's pretty much, then we go on holiday in the summer. We already have our plans worked out for a Tu B'Av. We're going to go here, we're going to go there. And then we'll come back. Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and then we'll go again. Sukkot. Like, it's a Beseder. It's a Beseder. Ani Mevin, it can be better, but it's not that terrible. And the part of the void, it is terrible. It really is. We gotta see. That's what I'm saying here. We have to explain to ourselves, why is it terrible, our situation today? Lama ze kol kach lo tov. That's the avodah today. And as long as we don't understand how missing we are without the Beis Hamikdash, I probably won't yearn so much to the Beis Hamikdash. Because I don't know. Chas Hashem kilu lo chaser li. Right? Would you agree, person that's an avodah by all of us? Right? It's avodah by all of us.
Especially if you're a Kohen.
If you're a Kohen, what do you mean? Especially if you're a Kohen? So you do understand better what's missing?
Yeah, because you're missing the avodah.
So meaning, especially a Kohen will have it easier.
Then a Kohen's got to be a complete change of life once the basement.
So therefore, what? It's harder for him or easier for him?
He's got to think about it much more.
Okay. So that's explain. Yes.
Is it always both ways that you can work out one heifer from the other one? Because all the examples he seems to give is working out the better from seeing the bad.
No, Dafka.
No?
No, it's really on both. A kol v'chom, what's bad, what's good?
Which one?
Kol v'chom. That's also an example he gives here. Heat and cold.
But it goes with everything in life. I mean,
I'm sorry?
we realised in the pandemic what we had with everyday life when it was taken away from us.
Yeah.
That's goes.
So when it's taken away, you can appreciate it. But if I never had it, it's kind of hard to feel it.
Okay.
Right? Nachon? That's, everybody say, don't feel bad. That's the avodah that we all have. The avodah is to really focus a little bit before Tisha B'Av, whatever. What is so missing in my life? What's so missing? So if a person doesn't have, right? What's so missing? So if a person doesn't have health, whatever, okay, of course, but that's not kashur to the churban directly. Maybe it's also indirectly kashur to the churban. But like to really focus on ma chaser li kishe'en Beis Hamikdash, ma chaser li kishe'ani begolus. מה חסר לי? מה בדיוק? And only once we'll understand that, I'll speak about myself, only once I understand that, the natural stage will be, so I hope we'll get out of this. Let's get out of this terrible situation. Right? אתה רוצה לשבת בו, הרב כדורי? מה אתה אומר, יותר קרוב? Okay, good. Okay, 1%. That's explanation number one. Explanation number one is the Maras explaining why I'm going to dedicate the first half of the Sefer on Golus, because you really cannot appreciate Geula before I explain the Golus. And here he says, She'anu Mekavin, here, שבזה יוודא הטוב והתשואה שאנו מקווים. Imam says this point. When I'll explain how bitter and how ungood is the matzah of Golus and Churban, then you're going to really cleave to it. I guess I'll say again, when the Yidden lived in Eastern Europe and there were pogroms happening the whole time, Hashem Yirachem, I guess then it was again easier to feel how unfortunate we are. But when you live in a free country, so, and you can practice your religion basically freely, and there's schools where you're the children and the grandchildren. It's a big nekuda, Rabbi Yisrael. Now he's going to say another point. Tell him he says the hafachim. He's now going to say the golus itself proves there'll be a geula. So I want to start explaining the golus not as the contrast to geula. That also will show there'll be a geula. Golus and geula, not because they're opposites, you can learn one from the other, but really the golus, if you look carefully into it, it shows that the geula is going to follow, will follow suit. It can't be the golus will stay forever. Impossible. It can't be. That's what he's going to say now. V'od sheyesh lever inyan golus tchila, meaning first golus, before, in addition to the time Yedias Hafachim Achad, כי הגולוס בעצמו הוא ראיה והוכחה ברורה על הגאולה. Look at the Lashon here. כי הגולוס בעצמו, again when the Rav says בעצמו, remember you know what it means? Intrinsically. In modern Hebrew the word בעצמו means itself. אתה בעצמך אמרת. But Lashon Maral means בעצם. It's עצם. Right? הוא ראיה והוכחה ברורה על הגאולה. If you really study carefully the golus, that in itself proves there'll be a geula. Why? וזה כי אין ספק, כי הגולוס הוא שינוי ויציאה מן הסדר. In simple English, you know what he's saying? The golus is abnormal. It's not normal. It's an abnormality. I'll show you soon how. שינוי ויציאה מן הסדר. It's a deviation and leaving the normalcy. Abnormal. Why? שהשם יזברך Sider kol umma b'mkoma ha'ro'ui la. Because Baruch gave every nation he allocated to each nation its location, and they're compatible with each other. The nation and its country, they're compatible. V'sider et Yisrael b'makom ha'ro'ui la. And he gave Am Yisrael also their compatible place. Shehu Eretz Yisrael. That's Eretz Yisrael. When you're exiled from your place, it's a change out of the norm. Now what happens if it's abnormal? If you take anything from its natural ambience, is that a French word?
Habitat.
What's the word in English?
Habitat.
Habitat. Shkeach? I think I'll say Makom TV. Right? במקום הטבעי, והם חוץ למקומם, אין להם עמיתה במקום הבלתי טבעי להם. If you take an animal out of its place, out of its weather, it's going to die. רק הם חוזרים למקומם הטבעי. They're going to have to go back sooner or later. כי אם היו נשארים במקומם הבלתי טבעי להם, if they're going to stay forever in the place which is abnormal, היה הבלתי טבעי נעשה טבעי. So the abnormal would become normal. It's impossible that the abnormal will become normal. Mashal zeh. He's giving a parable. What does that mean? You're a magician and you make the fire go down. Naturally the fire goes up. You're a magician, you did a trick and it goes down. שגמור הטבעי הוא למעלה, ואתה מכריח אותו חוץ למקום הטבעי להיות עומד למטה, וכן הארץ במקומה הטבעי למטה, ואתה מכריח את החלק ממנו לעלות מעלה. אם היה נשאר עומד שלא במקום הטבעי, כבר היה בלתי טבעי, נעשה טבעי. וכן יסובל בעצמם, אם היו עומדים בגולוס לעולם, שאין זה מקום הראוי להם. Meaning he's saying, Golus cannot go on forever. So one of the two things have to happen. Chas v'shem Am Yisrael will stop existing, and that we know won't happen. Because we have Avtacha that Am Yisrael will live forever. So the other option is, it will be terminated, Golus. And it will be followed by the Geula. It cannot be that an abnormality will go on forever. Because if it goes on forever, it will become normal. So why don't we divide the world to normal and abnormal? Very manyan. So a magician could play with a fire, and a fire usually goes up, it does a trickle, goes down. For how long? 10 seconds. 20 seconds. But then afterwards, what do they do? Or the fire will backfire up, or it will be extinguished. But it can't go on forever being down. Impossible the goals will go on forever. Impossible. Because it's abnormal. What's abnormal about the goals? He's going to say 3 components soon. You'll see what we say. Meanwhile, he's speaking about Hayitzia min HaMokom. We're not in our location. She'ein tzeh makomam ra'ui lehem. Ki makomam ra'ui lehem, we're at the end of page 10. Ki makomam ra'ui lehem lefi seder HaMetzius liyotam be'eretz Yisrael, b'rshut atzmam. V'lo b'rshut acher. Right? כמו כל דבר ודבר מן המצים הטבעיים, יש לכל אחד מקום בפני עצמו. Coffee. Coffee grows in Brazil. Try to raise coffee in England, it won't go. It just won't happen. So what's going to be if you get the coffee beans and plant them in England? It's not going to happen. It won't sprout. It just won't happen. כמו שכתוב חז"ל, אין לך דבר שאין לו מקום. וכל דבר הוא ברשות עצמו, meaning in his place. ואם היו נשארים בגלותם לעולם, היה הדבר הזה שהוא עמיד החוץ למקומם, שהוא בלתי טבעי, נעשה טבעי. שאין עומד בתמידיות, what goes on forever, רק הדברים הטבעיים. כי הטבע שנוס להשם יזבח לכל דבר ודבר מקיים אותו, עד שהוא מקוים, עומד תמיד. The טבע goes on forever. Good. But we say, it's echoing the aside that a ness is always temporary. What's the aside? When a ness happens, the stones under the hand of Yaakov Avinu, they became one only for that night. In the morning they split. Did you know that, guys? Because I'll say that. Right? A ness has to be, because a ness is abnormal. It's going out of Chokei HaTeva. So it will be for the time being. I'll prove it to you from a different angle. What do you say about the following? Everything that appears in the world that we have, its root is in Torah. To the degree that, I'm sure we spoke about once, that heat, material expands in heat and expands in cold. Where's the end of the Torah? So the Bali Kabbalah say, Ava and Yira. The mitzvah of Ava is expanding, L'chvod Shamayim. The mitzvah of Yira is contracting, L'chvod Shamayim. I heard it from Bali Kabbalah. Now we have in the world the concept called miracle. What's its root in Torah? In the realm of Torah, what's called miracle?
Nice.
No, Nes happens in the world. Kriyas Yamsuf happened in the world. The Torah will report about it, but in the Chukei Torah, what's the root of that? Of Nes?
Change of nature, or what's normal.
What was that? The Goyen says it. It's not written anywhere. But Rav Huna brings it down. What is the root in Torah which gives birth to Nes? Ava gives birth, material expanding in heat. Yira, contracting in cold. What's the root that Nes will be the fruit? Rhymes. Root, fruit. What is it? You know what the Goyen said? The person I'm telling you was Kedaita, even though we're missing a very chashuv other event, it was Kedaita come. Hoy Rosh Shah. Hoy Rosh Shah. That's what the Goyen said. What's a classical example of a Rosh Shah? Eliyahu Bahar Carmel. A Navi is allowed to break the rule for a short time if it's very much needed. Eliyahu wanted to show everybody that Avodah Zarah is a bluff, so he was makiv on Obama. In those days, you're not allowed to be makiv on Obama. They had already a Mishkan. Shiloh Givon, right?
Beis Hamikdash.
I'm sorry?
In Eliyahu's time, they had a Beis
There was a Beis Hamikdash already?
Yeah.
Bayis Rishon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was also strong.
of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Sorry, my mistake. Of course. Beis Hamikdash. So how did he make with the Baba?
Right.
Harasha. Now look at the word harasha. A temporary deviation. So the Torah has, so the nest will be temporary. So what stands forever, not temporary? Teva. There's only one miracle that if Moshe Rabbeinu would have done a deed, the miracle would have stayed forever. Anybody knows what I'm referring to? Kriyas Yamsuf. Moshe Rabbeinu had to do a deed to make the water go back. And then when it comes to Pesach or Shvi Pesach, everybody talks about the Segula. He had to, Kodesh Baruch Hu told him, the Tez Yotcha v'yashuvu amayim. It should come back by itself. You know, you want to compare it to, let's say, what happened in the Jordan. The Jordan River also split. You know what it says there? When did the water go back?
When the Kohanim-
It says, Mamash explained, when the last Kohen's foot
Yeah.
left, Kapos HaKohanim, left out of the water came back. No Maisa, no garnished. But Kriyas Yamsuf, Moshe Rabbeinu had to do a Maisa to split it, and a Maisa to get it back. And other Makkahs, he did a Maisa to get rid of it before its time. But there's no Indian, right? They speak about it. Who speaks a lot about it? The Or Gedaliah, everyone talks about it. How come a Kriyas Yamsuf, you needed a Maisa to undo it? It's a big sugya. So we say, just bring out the Yisod. The Teva goes on forever. Nature. If Golus will go on forever, it will become TV, and it's not TV. Abnormality number one, you're out of your normal
Habitat.
habitat. How do you spell it?
Habitat.
H-E-H-A-B-I-T-A-T.
It's a very cautious shot.
Habitat. Really? Okay, shkach.
500.
Okay, that's abnormality number one. I was going to say this is abnormality number 2 and 3. Here comes another one. Hapisu eino davar tivi. A family sticks together. We're all dispersed, like Haman HaRasha said. Yeshno am echad mefusam mefud ben amim. U'kamo shekol davar v'davar chozer el mekoimoy, you go back to its place, ken chozrim hachalakim mefuzrim v'nifradim liot klal echad. All the parts get together. ודוב הזה מבואר לכל אדם אשר הוא בדעת, כי כל החלקים עניין אחד להם. ואם כן, למה יהיה חילוק ביניהם ולא יתאחדו, מאחר שהם דבר אחד? We're one nation. On page Yud now. That's the last page that we have here. We're one nation. So how come we're so dispersed? We got to be outside Eretz Yisrael? Let's all be in Borough Park. Let's all be in Golden Green. But why scattered in the 4 corners of the world? One family, one nation should be scattered like that. The peace doesn't make sense. מאחר שהם דבר אחד, ולקח כל פיזור עומד להתכנס יחד. ולפיכך פיזור ישראל בין האומות הוא דבר יוצא מן הטבע. שמאחר שהם אומה אחס, ראוי שעומדים יחד, להיות אחד. כמו שתמצא, כל הדברים הטבעיים אינם מחולקים לשניים, רק הם מתקבצים ביחד. וכן, כל הנחלים הולכים אל הים. ליותר מתקבצים, ואין דבר אחד מתחלק. ומאשר מנהמת שמוס האומה הישראלית, אומה אחת בלתי מחולקת ומפורדת יותר מכל האומות. We're more than one. We're called one. We should מקובצים יחד, we should all be with each other. ומזה נראה כי הפיזור בפרט אינו טבעי כלל. The pizer is not normal at all. ואי אפשר לומר שמעבר הזו בשביל חטא ועוון. You can't go ahead and say, well, because we sinned. סוף סוף, דבר הזה הוא בלתי טבעי. דהיינו פיזור לישראל, ויהיה בלתי טבעי, נעשה טבעי, אם היה זה לא אילם, and that cannot be. Right? Third, what's third abnormality? So the Pizar, why are we so dispersed? It's unbelievable, guys, wherever you go. I was with the boys in Prague, you know how many Israelis we met? In Prague? What are they doing there? Living there, not just tourists. Not simple. Everywhere, okay?
Beis Chabad.
What?
Beis Chabad. Chabad all over the place.
You know, the Panovich Rebbe used to say that there's no life on the moon. Because if they would have, Bet Chabad would have been there.
They said Panovich Yerova would have been there.
Oh yeah? You can use that up. Good. But on, what's abnormality number 3? כי לפי סדר המציאות אין ראוי שתהיה אומה משבדת באחרת להכביד עול עליה. Rabbi said this is before the French Revolution. This is more than the Gemara saying it. Every nation and every person was created to be free. כי לפי סדר המציאות אין ראוי שתהיה אומה משבדת באחרת להכביד עול עליה. It's not appropriate that one nation subjugating another. כי השם יזברך בה כל אומה ואומה לעצמה. Because Baruch created every nation to be on its own. When Am Yisrael is doing its way, Elyon al Kol Ge'aretz, Kasher Osim Mitzvah Makom Tov, that's Inyan Acher. That's something else. That's Ruchni over Gashmi. But Rabbi say, at that time when he said it in 1588, every nation was created to be free. And we're subjugated to Donald Trump. Netanyahu can't do what he wants. If Trump tells him, he'll have to listen. He'll have to listen. That's today, always. So there's 3 abnormalities to Golus. 1, Yitzia min HaMokom. We're not in our natural
Habitat.
Habitat. 1. 2, we're dispersed. 3, we're subjugated to Umas Olam. They tell us what to do. They collect from us taxes when they want. They rule us. These are 3 abnormalities that by definition cannot be permanent. It has to stop. Or chas v'shalom by not kiyum avrisol, and that's impossible. So we'll have to stop another way. It'll be terminated and followed by the Geula. There's more different things that we're saying. Now listen to what Rabbi Shapir said on this Maral. Rabbi said, Moshe emes, v'sarasa emes. Now everything connects. Where do we daven at Shmoneh Esrei that because Baruch Hu should remove the Golus? Where? Kabbalah Shofar. Did you notice there's 3 sentences there? Look at the 3 sentences. This is what Moshe Shapir said. Tekah b'shofar gadol l'chei Hoseinu. What's that talking about? The removal of which abnormality? Shibud. Cherus. Be free. V'sones l'kabetz gadol Hoseinu. The Pizur. V'kaptzenu yachad. Me'arba kafir za'aretz. Nusach Sfaran adds. But if you don't add, that's what it means. La'otzeinu. Said with Moshe Shapir Zatzal. That's exactly what the Mahal's talking about. B'diuk. And it's even more than that. I'll show you what we're saying. There's 3 senses, 3 bakoshas in the removal of Golus. And it's corresponding exactly to the 3 abnormalities of Golus. Abnormality number 1 is that we're Meshubat L'cheruseinu. Abnormality number 2 is that we're dispersed. The Kaptzenu. What was it say? Kabbalah Shofar Gadol L'cheruseinu. V'sonnes the Kabbalah Tzenu. The Kaptzenu Yachad. Me'arba kafir za'aretz. Even if you don't say L'otzeinu, that's what it means. But you know what it shows? That will be the sequence of how the Gula will happen. And I think we already saw at least 1.5 of it already. Cherus, yes, true. We have to let the others listen to Trump. True. But the Master, can every Jew in the world today practice his religion? Is there any place in the world that they would not allow him to open up a shul? Tell me. Chutz from Israel. Is there any place in the world that they say no Jews are not allowed to pray? There's no Jews there. There's no Jews there. Any place where there are Jewish people that are living in the world, even in Iran, could they have their own shul? Yeah. Could they practice their religion? Yeah. It wasn't like that always. Today, again, not totally free, but it's a lot more than it used to be. And we're gathered now more and more to central locations. Look at it. Israel, in Europe, England, France, United States. It's not like spread all over like little tiny villages like it used to be. And we're going to come back to Eretz Yisrael. That's already happening also now. Kibbutz Galuyos. A lot of us have a immediate family in Eretz Yisrael. It wasn't like that 100 years ago. But I'll show you another place, exactly the same order. And you know it. In Shalosh Hagolim. Avinu Malkeinu Galek Kvoid Malchuscha Aleinu Mehera. You should be our king. meaning we should not be meshubad. V'kanes nefutzaseinu miyalkesei aretz. V'avienu l'tzion icha barina. The same three. Back to Eretz Yisrael. In the same order. The same order. Remove the shibud. I guess that will be the sequence. First the shibud will be removed. Afterwards the piso will be removed to some degree. It's not like that. Like it used to be in every little village somewhere there was a 25 families. You don't have that today anymore. And back to Eretz Yisrael. And that's also happening. Do you know today the majority of the Jewish people live in Eretz Yisrael? Again, if you could count them, if you could rely on these numbers, they say there's 15 million Jews in the world, 8.5 million live in Israel. I don't know, maybe there's more Jews, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if you can be samech or not. But that's a mitzvah that never happened before. That the majority of Am Yisrael lives in Eretz Yisrael. At least the way we know Am Yisrael. So we say, we have the right religion, isn't it more ridiculous what Moshe is saying? Doesn't it show that Maral is right on the money? And the Maral proves this point. From later on in Chazal, there are three abnormalities of Galus. So therefore, the Maral explains later on in the Sefer, once we're not in Eretz Yisrael, we cannot be in one place. We have to be in the whole world. Because there has to be some kind of connection between you and your place. So you and Eretz Yisrael, there's a connection. You and the whole world was created for Yisrael. But Uganda? What's my shaykhs to Uganda? I can be in Uganda as part of the whole world. But you want all the Jews to live in Uganda? That won't happen. You know, Herzl's first idea was the Jews to live in Uganda. You know that? And the Arabs, I got a better idea. The Arabs should be in Uganda. And we'll be in Eretz Yisrael. But it will never happen. The Bible says later on, they will be all in one location. Impossible. Only Eretz Yisrael. That's our place. Or the whole world, which is our place. You know, they say, I heard from my grandfather, Love Hashem, Zaini Frommer. He lived in Germany a certain period of his life, and he said a friend of his went to a travel agent. Those days it wasn't planes. It was the 30s, it was about 30s. It was a ship. Okay, a ship. And he went and told it, then you still could have left Germany. And he went to the travel agent and he said, I'd like to leave. Where? Anywhere. The travel agent was a guy. He said, I'll give you the globe and pick and choose. You know, they have a globe set. So he looked at the globe like for 10 minutes and turned around and around and around. Then he asked them, do you have any other place? Only the globe? Meaning, so that's what we are, we say. So we ought to, so listen, next week at this time is Tisha B'Av, right? I mean, yeah.
That's the
Reb
date.
Shlomo Tzodek.
That's the date for the Geula.
The date for, if Chas V'Shalom, there won't be a Beisamiyah, should be, and otherwise, Be'emes, who knows? That's A. And after that, people go to holiday, no?
Yeah, when should we have our next sheet?
I don't know, what do you say, Chavi? You tell me.
Well, Elul is, Rosh Chodesh Elul is the 14th of August.
Unbelievable. The
First
fourth.
Wednesday is the
No,
19th of
but the guys are still away. Everyone's still away there. Before I say, I'm going to ask you something. What do you think? We got 10:05 tomorrow, right? 10:05 tomorrow. In my mind, did I ever tell you, what are the two opposite words? Afachim?